Coming up today on Find the Fairway Live, it is officially Masters Week. The event at Augusta National is underway, and of course, all the storylines want to talk about LIV, all the players playing basically the first real event of a full season with the PGA Tour guys and Tiger Woods. Of course, what's the future of the PGA Tour? Lauren Thompson, longtime host on Golf Channel, still with NBC Sports, is going to weigh in on all of that, and we are so glad to have you with us on Masters Thursday. Lauren Thompson here is live. Lauren, I know your life is hectic. You have every moment of your day is accounted for. You have kids, I have kids. I know how it goes. I'm glad you're able to take some time because I wanted to be able to fit you into this busy schedule you have.
Well, Chris, as you and I both know, we've been talking for a while through direct messages, and I'm glad that we're just actually making this happen. And what a week to make it happen. We've got the 87th Masters on our hands. Everybody's got that countdown to Augusta National. Everybody's wearing their green. So it's an exciting week in the game of golf, to say the least.
Everybody, including you, which does not include me, but you know what? Maybe I'll change that once the show is over.
There you go.
So we're going to talk all about golf, obviously, but I want to talk about your career and the way it's evolved in the last, you could say 15 years, but I kind of want to focus right now
Sure.
on what's happened the last 2, 3 years with Golf Channel and NBC Sports and how everything is changing, Lauren. Everything is going digital. You're seeing so many cuts. And I know you personally went through a lot of difficult things with friends and having to say goodbye to people. Have you been able to kind of absorb all that the last couple of years? Because if you're probably still in the whirlwind with your new role here, I would assume.
A little bit. Honestly, I've got to take you back even further than that to
Okay.
give you kind of my entire mindset of the changes in recent years. First and foremost, I was a nursing major in college,
Really?
doing TV. Yeah, for the majority of college. I ended up switching to marketing. But I tell people that, and they're always like, well, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, you weren't planning on, being a sports broadcaster. You didn't want to do like entertainment TV or local news or anything along those lines. And honestly, that was never the goal until the opportunity presented itself. I had been doing television, car commercials, like fitness infomercials, a lot of random stuff on TV. And when Golf Channel called, and being that I was right here in Orlando, Florida, and that's where their studios were at the time, I'm like, you know what, this could be fun. I played golf, not very well. I wish to this day I had like an old swing video I could show you, Chris, because you would die laughing. I had
Can't
like a
find one?
softball
You
set
really can't
through.
find one?
It was not a really old one. You can find a million swing videos now, the good stuff that we all post on Instagram and everything. But man, so when Golf Channel called, they're like, we've got this show called Top 10. It's an entertainment style show. We're trying to just appeal to a younger demographic. We wanted to see if you were interested. And man, I started taking lessons like it was my job. That evolved into the travel show. And then, of course, it became Morning Drive, which was like the best of times and so much fun and tricky. We've got that 3:30 a.m. alarm that everybody always wanted to talk about, and they wanted to know about the schedule and the team. But it became something that I never knew I wanted so badly as a dream, and it became my life. And I thought maybe I would just be with Golf Channel for a couple of years doing the Top 10 show, and it truly became a family. We were all in each other's corner from day one. I can tell you that place was just a home from the second you walked into the building
Oh, if you
until
thought it was only a
everybody
couple of
left.
year if you thought it was only a couple of year thing, what did you think you'd be doing after a couple of years?
Honestly, I didn't know, because golf was never a very regular part of my life. I was doing a lot of different things on TV. I was doing
Wow.
voiceovers, but when Golf Channel called, honestly, I was kind of surprised. And I told them, listen, I watched you guys.
Yeah.
I know who Kelly Tillman is, and Vince Cellini and Rich Lerner and all the staples then. And I'm like, I'm not them. I'm not this walking, talking encyclopedia in the game of golf. And in a weird way, when I joined the Morning Drive team, I'll never forget Gary Williams telling me, he's like, you're like golf's princess. Like, you came in, you're still relatively new, the early years of Morning Drive, but that was the beauty of that show is we had all the bases covered. You know, we had the pros talking, the guys who were out on tour like Charlie Reimer and Robert Dameron, and then we've got Gary Williams, who literally is a walking, talking encyclopedia in the game of golf. Paige McKenzie, who was on tour. Matt Janella, who's worked for Sports Illustrated, and he's like the travel guru. And then I'm the mom who's got my kids playing the game of golf. I was a 20 handicap at the time when I was on the show. Now I'm a 14, but I could talk to a lot of the avid amateurs who were relatively new to the game. So when we did watch and learn lessons, when we went out on the golf course ourselves, I believe that our viewership could identify with someone on the show. And that was kind of the magic formula for Morning Drive. We were the Today Show of golf. We're talking the pros, but we're talking to the people at home also. And it was just so perfect for so long. And in a weird way, going back to your original question, that's kind of why things had to end. I mean, things like that can't go on forever. I understand that there was some financial things that Golf Channel just could not get around. And so the move to Connecticut, we all learned about it early January 2020. To be completely honest, and I have not been shy about this, I'm not going to lie to anyone. I told them early on that that kind of move is not for me. My whole family's in Orlando, Florida.
They
So,
have to respect that.
yeah, I mean, I was going to be honest, and I couldn't see us making that move up there. But I told them, listen, let me finish out the year with Morning Drive and hopefully stay under the NBC Sports umbrella. And they gave me just that. So instead of looking back and being upset at the changes that happened, as a serial optimist, I like to look back and think of how grateful I am that those opportunities happened, that I met all those people that were still just connected as we were then, we still are now. I wish I could show you the Morning Drive text chain that is alive and well, and trust me, it's been firing for Masters Week too.
That's how
So
you
we're
know
always going to be a family.
that's how you know relationships last when the text change are still going 2, 3
Oh, the
years
memes,
later.
the give, all of it.
And you mentioned people said, "Well, why didn't you wanna do this or local TV?" And it was a new venture, and, doing shows like that, I don't wanna call it like a documentary type show, but basically it
Yeah.
was reality TV of golf is what it was. It was a new venture, and when this last venture had to end with Morning Drive, you were able to transition again into what you've done now with NBC Sports and the multiple things that you're doing there, and I know it's a different role. It's a different role. It feels like a different role, right?
It is a different role. It's an evolving role.
Mm.
It's with NBC Sports Next for golf. The craziest thing about it is it's still in the old Golf Channel headquarters. So I walk down the hallways that I've been walking down for 12 years when I did Morning Drive and all the other shows.
That building still
Arnold Palmer.
exists?
What was that?
The building still exists?
The building still exists, and now we've got a few new people who are in the building. We've got Telemundo, we've got Rotten Tomatoes, we've got they've all moved in, so it is a very lively place to work. With NBC Sports Next, we've got a ton of stuff that we're doing with private clubs, a lot of roundtable discussions, social media content. It's kind of always evolving, but it's fun to still be working with a lot of the familiar faces that were there when Golf Channel was in the building as well.
You're working with PXG, which, if
Yes.
you're new to golf, you probably would think that PXG's been around and competing with the big boy brands forever. They're really not. I mean, they're pretty new in terms of casual fans and knowing the game of golf. And you keep seeing PXG more and more and more. Tell everybody what PXG is, first of all, and what you're doing with them.
All right. Well, if they're not familiar, it's Parsons Extreme Golf. A lot of people hear the name Parsons, and it's Bob Parsons, who was the former guy who started GoDaddy. He's a
Oh,
Purple
really?
Heart recipient Marine.
Okay.
He's an animal. And if you watch Golf Channel at all, and you not just see it on TV, but you hear it as well, it is a voice that you will quickly become accustomed to because Bob Parsons does all the voiceovers in the commercials. He's got a booming voice. But he just stormed the industry as someone who was exceptionally passionate about the game of golf. Says that it helped him conquer PTSD when he was a veteran, coming back from the Vietnam War. I mean, his story is very interesting, but he works a lot with fellow veterans. It's a brand that's made a lot of noise across the board with all of the tour pros, both LPGA, PGA Tour, Corn Ferry Tour. They've got some tournaments as well that they host, like the PXG College Golf Showcase out at Scottsdale National. It's just a different, louder, prouder brand of golf equipment and apparel that I think a lot of people really dig. And it's got a different philosophy to it. They love doing fittings. They don't just want to sell you clubs right off the shelf. It's very catered to who you are as a golfer, your swing habits, and just the way that you get about on the golf course. So it's a fun brand to be with. I am always trying to work with charity events, with brands, anyone that represents and helps out the heroes of our country. I am all for. And when I spoke with the Parsons out there at Scottsdale National the first time I helped host their PXG College Golf Showcase, I came out there to play a practice round. I had a little bit of a mixed bag going. And one of the people who worked with PXG, they were like, listen, I know you've had a long day. You've been taping like 12 hours on the golf course. What do you say we light up the range tonight? We're going to get our guy, Brian Daly, who's out there. He's their like their club fitter. And we're going to do a fitting for you. And then tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., your new clubs are going to be on the range. And I'm like, well, who says no to that? So it was a great time.
Have
It
me at new
was,
clubs.
yeah, it was honestly just kind of crazy that they were good to go the next day on the range out there at Scottsdale National, and I flew them home, and I've had honestly just this newfound drive to improve my game more than I ever had in the past. It's a weird thing to say, Chris, but before I was playing golf, because it was kind of part of my job, and it was morning drive, and it was trying to mix in playing golf with how tired you are doing the morning drive schedule.
As a parent
And
of multiple children as well.
yeah, yeah, but also now my oldest is 9 and he loves playing golf. So I get to get out on the golf course more than I ever have before. So trying to become a single digit handicap. That's the goal by the end of the year. We'll see how it
So
goes.
you had mentioned, getting involved with this basically on the ground level with PXG, right?
They had been around for several years in
Okay.
golf.
In terms of being a big brand though, I mean, it seems like
For
they
sure.
have had PR success like crazy, and you're a big part of that. And you had mentioned kind of going around and doing different events, and that was kind of the other thing that you'll see on Lauren's social media on Twitter is she's everywhere. I mean, she's hosting this event, she's at this event, she's a keynote speaker here. It's all over the place. Has that ramped up more in the last couple of years? Just basically given like what your career has evolved into?
Just the busy schedule ramping
Just
up.
all these events that you're speaking at. I mean, it seems like every month you're somewhere.
Well, honestly, now I can do more of those events because I'm not working around my morning drive schedule. Obviously that was the priority at the time.
Mhm.
I never wanted to miss a day. It was tricky being that was our morning drive family, and say someone calls in sick, that's pretty tricky to deal with at 3:30 in the morning, and you want to give the best product as a show to the golf viewership. So we wanted everybody there pretty much every single week, not missing any time. So that was the priority. Now I do have a little bit of a different schedule that I'm working with now. So I'm able to prioritize not just hosting or emceeing events or being a keynote speaker, but playing in events as well, which has been great because I used to just almost automatically have to say no to these invitations that come in for pro-ams, for charity events. We just played in Johnny Damon's event that he had at Reunion last month.
That's cool.
I've become a good friend of his. He loves giving back to the game of golf. I get to play in the Byron Nelson Celebrity Pro Am next month,
Do
so
you know who you're
I'm
playing
excited
with?
about that one. Yeah, I'm going to be out there. So
Do you know who you're playing with?
I do not yet. I don't think I
Okay.
find out until the night before the pairings party. So we'll
Oh, that makes sense.
see.
You mentioned your kids and the 9-year-old getting into golf. That's an excellent segue into a slide I did not show you. Of course, everybody's
Okay.
most important thing in their life is their kids. So, Lauren, I want to frame this as you with your kids,
Ooh.
the
Ooh.
perfect day of work. If you could take your kids to tape a
Okay, they're
promo
with me.
shoot, say that
Okay.
again.
Okay, the kids are with me. I'm
They're
picturing this
with
in my
you.
head.
They are with you all day on the ideal
Okay.
day of work. You can only do one of these things. Tape a promo shoot with Rory McIlroy and John Rahm all day. You're out on the
Okay.
course, you're having fun. They got mics on, you're doing different things. Let's say they
All
work with
right.
PXG. Maybe one day they will. Who knows? Uh,
Okay.
Number two, you and your kids co-host a Q&A where you're interviewing Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, the two all-American boys that I guess kids who are a little older want to strive to be. Maybe younger kids are on the Will Zalatoris and Colin Morikawa train. Who knows?
There you go. There you go.
Or do your kids appreciate Tiger Woods?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. My oldest does. My 5-year-old, I don't think quite knows who Tiger Woods is, but Brantley, my 9-year-old, most definitely knows who Tiger is. He knows, I mean, more than you would think a child under the age of 10 would know. He knew about the car accident. He knew when mom was genuinely concerned, honestly, in the entire golf world was concerned that Tiger wasn't even going to live through that. So he heard a lot of those conversations that just I was having with friends, my conversations I was having with my husband. So he knows who Tiger is. I don't know if he understands the weight of how much Tiger changed the game. So that one's tricky. All right, so
Up
I'm weighing this out
inside the
now.
ropes for 18 holes
Okay,
with watching
that's
Tiger
a tough
Woods.
one. So I know the option that he would have the most fun with. And I'm going to kind of narrow this down just to walk you through my decision making here. So, Rory McIlroy, actually, my son got to sit like 2 feet from where I am right now in 2020 when everyone was at home taping the shows and Morning Drive was, of course, virtual also. And we taped a segment with Rory McIlroy. So, I got to interview him. We come on, of course, before we hit the record button, and I got to tell Rory that my son was right there with me. So, my son actually got to have a few questions back and forth with Rory McIlroy himself, which was like mind blowing and
So he's kind
very,
of
very
already
cool.
done half of this. He's already done an
He's
interview, and
been
he's
there,
already
done
been with
that. He's
Rory.
this like seasoned golf vet already, and he's not even like had his double digit birthday. So taping a promo shoot with Rory and John would be fun because the cameras would be there and he could see how that process goes. Walking inside the ropes for 18 holes with Tiger Woods is fun, but you didn't say that I'm able to like talk and hang and question
Tiger's in the
Tiger.
zone. He has no idea you're there.
Yeah, and we all know how Tiger plays. So, if I was talking to him, I had a microphone. Maybe if Charlie Woods was there too, then that would have been my choice. But I'm going to go with co-hosting a Q&A with Spieth and Thomas
I
because
knew it.
I know, honestly, they were that friendship in junior golf that has transcended all the way into the top tour in the world. They're on the PGA Tour together. They're a good time. They like to nudge each other a little bit. There's bets. There's all the good things that we saw in the Netflix Full Swing episode that we love about these guys. They're wholesome. They're fun. That would be my choice.
I'm glad that it was your choice because that kind of gets me wanting to talk about something else here. Are
Okay.
guys like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas still the poster children, so to speak, of golf and being popular, at least in America? Because you have so many guys in their 20s who are coming on and, quite frankly, playing better than Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth,
Mm-hmm.
way better. But
Oh, 1,000%.
everybody still sees those two guys as it. Why do you think that is? Because they're in their 30s now.
They are. I wouldn't call them the poster children of golf these days. In fact, I'm trying to come up with who that would be because there's a lot of people that it could be right now. I mean, just like looking across the field at the Masters and trying to pick a winner, it's pretty wide open with who could slip on the green jacket on Sunday or also who could be the poster child in the game of golf. Scotty Scheffler has been on a heck of a run. He's a good guy. He's well mannered. Everybody likes him too. Brooks Koepka has not had any problem ruffling some feathers in recent years. There's a lot of people who could say that he's one of the poster people for the game of golf right now. Spieth is always a good one too. Colin Morikawa. I mean, you could go so many directions on that too. The game has grown. I don't know. That's a really good question. John Rahm is really fiery. He's a lot of fun to watch as well. I don't know, but Spieth is always just a good one. I mean, everyone remembers when he first won the Masters, and I think a lot of people are hoping that this year he could do it again. So we'll see, but it's tough to really pin like a poster child for the game of golf right now.
Everybody has their preference. I think that's probably one of
Yeah.
the reasons why the game is thriving right now because you've
Yeah.
got so many options of players that you think you could relate to, so to speak. All right, let's get into the big headlines here at Augusta National, Lauren.
All
Of
right.
course, the reception of the Live guys. We got to talk about Tiger Woods being in the field. This is really the first year that Liv's had a full season. It's the first Masters where there's ever been a Live. And now all of a sudden, you had this Champions Dinner last night that, people wanted to make it a big deal. You've got all these
Sure
Live guys
figure.
in the room, Lauren, and what's going to happen. But outside of, from the reports at least, outside of Phil allegedly not saying anything, literally, the dinner
Hmm.
was kind of boring, but probably have to expect that.
I think that the golf world, no matter what, would have tried to drum up some drama with this, like it has across the board with the Live Tour. Talk to Cam Smith. He's been saying, you know, everybody still talks.
Mm,
It's not like these guys are brushing me off. They're ignoring me. They don't want to have any sort of relationship anymore because this isn't just the past year in the game of golf. These guys have been playing golf together for a really long time, most of them, when you look at their careers. So they're not just going to be enemies immediately just because of this. I think across the board, I think a lot of the players who went to Live, that was their decision. They made their bed. That's where they wanted to go. And a lot of the PGA Tour guys see it the same way as well. Now, when we were talking about Augusta National initially making that decision to have Live players in the field at the Masters this year, I'm really glad they went the way that they did because can you imagine the storylines right now if we were diving into the opening round of the Masters
it would
and they're
be
saying, oh,
it
well,
would be like
we've
the
got
elevated events.
yeah, we've got most of the best players in the world, but not all of them because the Live players weren't there. So I think it is nice to finally take away that storyline, if not just for 1 week, and have all of the players who were eligible to be at Augusta National, Live or PGA Tour, there. So we've got that going for us. Now we do have 18 players from the Live Tour who are in the field, and 6 of them have slipped on a green jacket also. Now, when when you're talking about the Champions Dinner, I was I don't know, weirdly moving into it. I'm like, gosh, this is just going to be so uncomfortable. Like, they're going to talk about it. Obviously, there's no cameras in there, so they are actually free to have these discussions if they want to without being quoted. Everything's
Right.
off the record. It could be an
Yeah.
open, honest conversation. Now, for Scotty Scheffler's sake, I'm glad that they kept things relatively toned down and, friendly, to say the least. I think it's interesting that Phil Mickelson didn't say a word and just kept to himself. I also think it's interesting that Greg Norman wasn't even invited. They did say that he's only shown up twice in the past 10 years to the
Basically.
Champions Dinner and at the Masters. So, maybe it wouldn't have been on his radar anyway, but it's going to be extremely interesting on Sunday, perhaps if it is a Live player who slips on the green jacket, to see where the conversation goes from there. But I think it would be really nice and it would be unifying and it would be really great for the game overall if the drama and the cattiness and the silly stuff stays out of it for Sunday at the Masters, and the players as tour pros can be unified and just use the week for what it is, as one of the most popular weeks in the game of golf for everyone.
It is awesome that those players can have so many different opinions of, where's your money coming from? Shame on you for doing this, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, they don't hold it against each other. And as long
Yeah.
as they can do that, and whether who plays in what major for the rest of eternity, however long Live exists, maybe it is here forever. If they can do that, I think every fan will respect it. And that's the big thing. So you got Live, obviously, is the big storyline, but then you've got Tiger Woods, and we're already seeing images of Tiger, Lauren. I don't know if you saw on Twitter in the last hour, him grimacing on the range, and it's going to be tough for Tiger to get around Augusta, which everybody knows has the most ridiculous undulations you could imagine in the game of golf. It's
Hmm.
To me, it's unfortunate that Tiger wants
Yeah.
to win, he wants to play. It's unfortunate that we have to look at it as, is Tiger going to make it through a round of 18 holes without having a WD?
Exactly. And I mean, this is just a few days after he was quoted as saying, in a humorous way, that he's a few years away from being in the buggy, like on a golf cart with as Fred Couples has alluded to and everything else. So I think we all hoped for and always hope for a healthy Tiger Woods. It's good for the game of golf. There's nothing like it when he's teeing it up. There's nothing like it when he's contending. And he's one of the guys that you never want to count out to not just make the cut, but also to maybe win. But the grimacing on the range this morning is definitely a concern. That would be the least wanted headline in the game of golf this week if Tiger withdrew. So hopefully it's just something he can work out with a physio and he'll be fine. But that definitely does not bode well for Tiger Woods this week.
And I know a lot of people probably have bets on Tiger Woods. Is he going to make the cut or not? We haven't talked about Phil Mickelson either. So here's another fun exercise for you, Lauren. If you had to make one bet on any of these, I try to get bets with similar odds. They're all about minus 100 to 200. Which one of these do you think would be the best bet in 2023? Tiger making the cut after everything we just said in the last 2 minutes. Phil Mickelson, whose game has just plummeted. I mean, the last 6 months on Live have been embarrassing in his mind. Rory McIlroy's demons come at Augusta. The fact that he has to address them probably makes it even worse. Him finishing in the top 10 nowadays might not even seem like it's a good bet. And I put Dustin Johnson here as the typical Live guy, as the representative of Live to maybe have a good showing. It could be Cam Smith. It could be Joaquin Neiman. It could be Patrick Reed for all we know.
You never know.
Do you see a Live guy to have it be Dustin Johnson? Do you see a Live guy being the best bet on this board here?
Any Live guy? I don't
Any
know
Live guy finishing top 20.
I think Brooks Koepka could very easily finish in top 20 or top 10. A lot of people are saying, and I don't think they're totally wrong, that he could even win because we know how he plays in the majors, or he has famously in the past played in the majors. We know how he plays with a chip on his shoulder. I think all of the Live guys have had some serious pep talks moving into this week, and perhaps hypothetically, some rewards that could be happening if they just even contend,
could you
financially
imagine?
or otherwise. You never know. So I wouldn't count anything out. So Tiger to make the cut, especially based on what we were just talking about, I do not think is a good bet.
No.
Phil to miss the cut, I think, is almost a guarantee based on how he's playing. However, it wasn't that long ago that he won the PGA Championship, so we got to think about that as well. Let's see. Rory McIlroy to finish in the top 10. Fair bet. Not too bad either. Dustin Johnson to finish in the top 20. This is
Here's
tricky.
The thing, Lauren.
Honestly.
Here's the thing about all these Live guys. We're going around and thinking, well, these guys aren't playing competitive golf against the best fields. Their games are going downhill. It's very easy to say that. Dustin Johnson still knows how to play golf. He's still incredibly competitive. He's still incredibly talented. Soft conditions at Augusta. I picked him in a pool of mine where you pick 4 guys and it's a one and done. Cam Smith, DJ, whoever it is, I think we're foolish to think that a Live guy can't win this week, let alone compete in the top 5, because it's not like they forgot how to play golf just because their fields are weaker.
All right. Based on what you just said, and also what I'm thinking, I was going to go with Phil Mickelson to miss the cut. I'm going back and forth between Rory and Dustin Johnson. All right. So I'm going to turn the tide on you here. Which one do you think is the better bet? Because those are the two right now that I'm looking at, and I'm trying to make the decision between those two. But honestly, I think either DJ or Rory, I don't know. I would go with Dustin Johnson, actually. Where do you stand on this?
Well, if I wanted the easy money and didn't care how much money I made, I'd go Phil misses the cut.
Okay.
But between Rory and DJ, here's what sucks about picking Rory. I see it as like Justin Thomas. You have no idea what you're going to get out of them, and they could have all of the headlines and all the momentum in the world, and then they fall on their face. I hate picking Justin Thomas anywhere, and I hate picking Rory anywhere. I would stay away from Rory because he could win. He could miss the cut. You have no idea. I would probably go Dustin Johnson. I'd agree with you. Dustin Johnson, top 20. He's way too good to not be in contention by Saturday.
He's way too good. He's got the distance there. I'm thinking also about that 13th hole that they redid at
Hmm.
Augusta. And I think we all know that the tournament feels like it doesn't even begin until the back nine on Sunday. We know the absolute collapses that can happen at Augusta National on Sunday. That new 13th hole, it's longer. They've got that dog leg where they're trying to land it in that area and just reach the green in two. I think that's a shot that Dustin Johnson has. I think that's a shot that Bubba Watson has.
Oh,
That's
here we
another
go.
former Masters champion that we haven't talked about yet. I mean, he had an ace yesterday in the par three
Hmm.
contest. We had five aces yesterday in the par three contest, which is absolutely insane. Um, so I don't know. I'm thinking Dustin Johnson might be someone that we're watching on the front page of the leaderboard come Sunday at Augusta.
And he is the one live guy, probably who people wouldn't mind seeing succeed. If you're against live, would you agree? If you're against live, to me,
Ooh.
DJ's the one guy who I don't think people would mind if he won. Is that safe to
I
say?
don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong there. And I think that goes back to just his superpower that we've always
Mhm.
said in the golf media is being able to brush off bad shots, see the ball, hit the ball, not worrying about things too much, not factoring in too much with decision making, just playing golf, going out there and keeping it simple. I don't think a lot keeps him up at night when he's worried about the decision he made going to live. I think a lot of people were shocked. I mean, we've got the Graham McDowells and the Sergio Garcias and everyone going to live, but those were older players who weren't necessarily regularly contending with the young guys now. And then when DJ left, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like DJ is former world number one. Not even that long ago, he had that spot. And people were pretty shocked about that one. And that was before Brooks Koepka decided to move over to live and everyone else. But a lot of people were fine with it because they're like, you know what? Dustin Johnson's answer to it was listen, play less golf, have
Oh,
more family time, make more money.
he was
And
the
when
only one who said
someone
that too.
He's the only one that said that. He was keeping it real. He was keeping it true to Dustin Johnson, not fluffing things up too much. He's never going to sugarcoat anything for you. And in a weird way, the golf world respected it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
if he becomes a Masters champion by Sunday, I think people on both sides of the fence with this whole thing would be just fine with that.
Funny how that works. We know Dustin Johnson will not be part of the PGA Tour probably ever because Jay Monahan's rule right now is no guys ever coming back. Lauren, this PGA Tour is ever changing. Of course, the elevated event structure is happening. Rolling back the golf ball is what I really want to talk about right now because it is such a polarizing thing on the PGA Tour right now in 2023. Before I kind of tip my hand on what I think is going to happen, what is your initial thought on that specific topic?
Well, my initial thought was that it was a terrible idea. And this is not a new conversation in golf. This is something that kind of tends to rear its ugly head every now and then.
Right.
And I've never been a fan of bifurcation. I always like that the game of golf is so relatable to people watching at home because we're playing the same equipment, to a point. And we're playing by the same rules, and it's inspiring in that way. I think it's a lot of reasons why people love the game of golf. But I think making this the headline that it is today is terrible timing for the game of golf, and not just for the drama's sake, but it's because golf has been in such a great place in the last 2 years. And John Rahm was even talking about this. He was saying, golf in its golden era since the whole COVID shutdown. More people took up the game than ever had before. Golf was red hot, and then we're going to fly in and we're going to.
I think I lost your. There you go. I think I lost you there for a second. I think something probably popped up on your screen and you had to. I don't know if you got like a text or something. I got Lauren on Zoom, so that's the case here right now. I don't know if something happened on your screen for some reason. Wasn't able to hear.
No, okay,
No,
I
you're
got you
back.
back
You're
now.
back. You're back.
Ugh, I am so sorry about
No,
that.
don't be sorry. That's live television. Well, not television anymore, but
Yeah, there
um,
we go.
no, you were so when you cut out, you were talking about golf after COVID blooming, and John Rahm talking about that.
Okay, I'll pick it up there. Um, so I've never been a fan of bifurcation.
Mm.
I've never liked the idea of making different sets of rules for the pros versus the avid amateur, the recreational golfer. So to roll back the golf ball right now, and I mean, this would only be 15, 20 yards. We're not talking about massive amounts of distance. I get that the conversation needs to be had moving forward, but I don't think this is the time to do it because golf was in such a great spot after COVID. So many people were picking up the game. The game was more diverse. We had more women, more ethnicities picking up the game of golf. Golf was red hot at that moment. John Rahm was talking about it. He was saying golf's in its golden era. And then here we go. We've got the live drama. And that doesn't look good for golf at all. Anyway, you slice it, I don't think. And then now let's also sprinkle in one of the big debates about rolling back the golf ball because I think you and I both know that everybody likes to see these big bombing drives, not from every player, but we know that it's certain players' strengths. Other players, they're mad accurate and they're ball striking machines, and we watch them for that reason also. Um, I think this is more of a talk for equipment manufacturers moving forward, but not to go back and change everything now. Because if we think about it, all of a sudden, let's just say they drop this rule into place and it's official. And, they're trying to make sure that we would, that the speeds of the golf ball, wouldn't equate to these past 320-yard drives. It would only be dialing it back 15 to 20 yards. And so then all of a sudden, half these golf balls are not even eligible to be in play. They're non-conforming. So then these equipment manufacturers have to dump gobs and gobs and gobs of money into
People don't talk
research
about.
and development to redo everything. And I just think, again, that would hit golf in a bad spot. It would apply to the whole industry. It's giving us something else to argue about, something else to debate about when golf was in such a great spot to begin with. So maybe this point forward, we make sure that things aren't going any farther. Mike, I don't know, but I've heard Mike Wan's argument on this as well, and he doesn't want to see all these golf courses having to purchase more acres just to be able to, you know, be relevant. So I don't know. It's a tricky thing. We're just going to have to see where it goes in the next few years.
You look at other sports and why they make rule changes. To me, what the PGA Tour has done is actually the opposite. And here's what I mean by that, Lauren. Uh, People want to have more eyeballs on their game. Baseball is having pitchers throw it quicker, a pitch count, so to speak. They
Mm-hmm.
want to entice more people to watch their sport. I'm sorry, golf is not doing that. Golf's doing the opposite because what you just
Exactly.
said is exactly spot on. That they are not looking at the average viewer who they should be trying to appeal to here. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking at the future of their events and what their core viewership is already and what they want to see. And they're not looking at the millions of people they could be appealing to because you just nailed it on the head there. People want to see the long drives. They want to see somebody, if they can have the precision to hit it 365 down the middle, good for them. It's the opposite. It's the opposite of what these other leagues have been doing, trying to grow their sport. And you're right, it's not growing the sport. And originally, I had very ill will towards it. I'm getting to
Mm-hmm.
the point where if you're, and this is what all these leagues do, they know the core fan's going to watch. You and I aren't going to stop watching golf just because they're hitting the ball 15 yards shorter. They
No.
don't care
Yeah.
about us. They already got us. I mean, we're already in their back pocket and we're going to watch no matter what they do. They're doing this as they see fit in the future, and I guess you have to respect it. That's just the only way I'll put it.
I understand that it's an issue that's not going to go away, but I believe until they have a better solution or before
Mhm.
they can have, if they can have some sort of forum with the equipment manufacturers, I think that that's where real problem solving would happen. But to take it public already and create the argument, I do not think is the solution whatsoever. So, I mean, I wish I was someone who could speak a little more to this. I wish I had some insider information for you. But I think that this is something where they need to really put their heads together and come up with an answer that is not going to take away from the excitement of what golf is right now from a viewership standpoint and also something that works for the courses. And I mean, it takes me back to all the tiger proofing the tiger proofing conversation that happened back in the day. I mean,
It's legit. It's
it's
real
not going to
tiger
happen,
proofing. Like
folks.
it's
Like, you can't proof any course. So,
yeah.
and the players are just going to work on their speed training and their drills more and more and more. So it's going to come down to the equipment and somehow getting the equipment moving forward to conform within a certain bubble. But, that's going to ruffle some feathers too. So I just don't
It's a
know where we go
lose
from
lose for
that.
anybody, Mike Wan, Wan Malahan, whoever you want to be. They have 3 years
Exactly.
to figure that out. So hopefully they will. Lauren, this was so great having you on. Your insight on the ever evolving television side of golf, talking about the future of golf. I really appreciate it. I know you're not at the Masters or working at the Masters this week in any spectrum, but I know that's probably a good thing for you because, as you told me before the show, things are hectic in your life. So I'm hoping that you can find some time to settle down and enjoy some free time if that's ever possible for you.
Absolutely. I was honest with you about that. We've got a move on our hands and a few other big things coming up. So stay tuned, Chris. I hope to talk to you soon down the road.
Right, Lauren Thompson from NBC Sports here on Find the Fairway Live.